I have detected a problem developing. This is a cute little dog. I guess that's a Schnauzer? No. A wiener. What are those? Dachshund. Long-haired dachshund, I think. It's a little windy right now. I think it might rain later, but that's not the problem. The problem is we had this release, I guess last night or this morning. J.D. Vance was talking about it on X. He's saying here that a newly declassified, once secret report confirms that U.S. Intel, they used the Steele dossier. Newly declassified House Intelligence Committee report, according to this, confirms that they used the Steele dossier, but there's two problems. Problem number one is it doesn't confirm that. And problem number two is the Steele dossier, they're like, oh, it's a discredited thing. It's a very complicated piece of confusion. The image that I've created for today, I've got all these people here outside the Kremlin. You might say, wait a minute, who are those people, Jason? I don't recognize everybody there. We've got Felix Sater on the left. Look at this, we've got some kind of field trip here coming off the High Line. It's a bad idea, whoever is telling these people to dress up in all the same clothing and walk around in a pack. You make yourselves something of a target. But the point is, who are these people? We've got Felix Sater, Fiona Hill, people might not recognize, Igor Danchenko. Get out of here, you idiots. And Christopher Steele. So why have I depicted all of these people here? Because they're important to the Steele dossier, but yet the only two that we really hear about are Christopher Steele and Igor Danchenko, at least in the context of the Steele dossier itself. People who have been paying attention closely, if you listen to Lee, you're going to know about Fiona Hill. And even George. It's interesting, George does talk about these people, but I think it's for a different reason, This is a complicated network of disinformation. Charles hates that word, and I appreciate that. I think it is important, though, that we talk about it a little bit. At least in the context. Just checking that we're live. I think it's important that we talk about disinformation because, he's saying there's only two things, true and false. But what I'm talking about is, you could tell someone something that you think is correct, and then later find out, oh, that was wrong, and then you've misinformed them. You gave them information that was wrong by mistake. Probably somebody who knows Latin could tell us what mis means. But disinformation, deliberate. We had a little cutout in the sound there for a second. Disinformation is when you deliberately put bad information down the pipe to confuse, to distract, to disinform, wrongfully inform somebody of something. And that really is what that Steele dossier is, was, and always has been. And remember, what was this message that Obama put out the other day, that weak message that Tulsi is seeking to counteract with this report that she's released today that John Solomon tells us means that, oh, they lied. They relied on the Steele dossier. Obama said it was disinformation. I think what they're trying to do is sow confusion, and I think even Tulsi Gabbard might be confused. I'm not accusing her of deliberately engaging in disinformation, but she might be misinformed. And everybody is so focused on this damn Steele dossier, so let's talk about it for a second. Got to look at that and try and disambiguate this for everybody to help you understand. By the way, thanks to everybody who's sponsoring the show on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. People who are on Odyssey are navigating through the complications of using the cryptocurrency payment system on that platform. Thanks to everybody who has sponsored on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. You can still subscribe there for free and access a very large library of Crowdsource the Truth content. Unfortunately, to access the sponsor-exclusive content on there, moving forward, people are going to have to use the AR cryptocurrency. And to anybody who's been sponsored on there and getting the show for free for the past 3 months, thank you to those who have made one-time sponsorship payments on paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth. People can also sponsor on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And of course, everybody who's following me on X @JG_CSTT can subscribe there. Also support the show. It's super important to do this because as I'm absorbing this information today, once again it occurs to me, just like with Palmer Luckey, why do these people care so much about what I'm saying? You know? And by these people, I'm saying Benjamin Wittes, the people associated with the Lawfare Institute. You know, Benjamin Wittes, he's got a 6 or 7 figure salary between him and his wife. He's running a nonprofit, millions of dollars in that. Why do they care what I have to say? Remember when Chris Boozy came after me, destroyed my Twitter account, destroyed my Facebook account? That was low. That guy's such a low piece of shit. He deserves to go to jail. Remember, he was represented by Ballard Spahr. That's so weird. Firms like that really just don't come forward and represent individuals, particularly not losers who have just been through bankruptcy and live in rental condos in Newark or wherever the hell that bozo lives. See, all these people who show up here, jam up the High Line wearing their similar clothing. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
You guys are targets because you stand around looking like you don't know what you're doing or where you're going. And then you harass people who are citizens of New York. It's not good. Coming from Italy or some other country acting like jackasses. Anyway, Ballard Spahr doesn't represent losers like Christopher Boozy. And even more interesting is the attorney, Maxwell Mishkin, who represented Christopher Boozy in Goodman v. Boozy. That was the same guy who represented Eric Lichtblau in that criminal prosecution. Lichtblau wasn't a defendant. This was one of the cases brought by John Durham as a result of the Durham investigation. Lichtblau was what's going on with the sound? He was a New York Times journalist, and they were trying to get him to reveal his sources. I got to dig into that case, but it's just super weird that the same attorney from that case that involves all kinds of FBI people, most notably Jim Baker. Jim Baker was the FBI general counsel, and for reasons that still are not publicized or well understood, that case resulted in Jim Baker getting kicked out of the FBI or leaving for some reason. We don't know why. And Maxwell Mishkin, he was the attorney in there. He comes to represent Chris Boozy in a case that came about as a result of me discussing Peter Smith on Twitter at the time with Ben Wittes. Ben Wittes was the director of the Lawfare Institute, incidentally, where Jim Baker went to work after he got kicked out of the FBI. So it certainly seems like there's more than a coincidental connection between all of these people. They're working for the FBI, they're working for the Lawfare Institute. James Comey has said that the Lawfare blog is his favorite blog and he's reading it all the time. He's appearing at speaking events with Ben Wittes at the Lawfare Institute. Look, we got nothing but these clowns around. All wearing the same outfit there. Anyway, there seems to be some relationship between all of these people. They know each other. They work for each other. They work for the FBI. I think the Lawfare Institute is an FBI cutout. That's my opinion. I'm just forming that opinion from looking at evidence in the public domain. You might see the same evidence and come to a different conclusion. I'm not going to linger around the High Line too much today. I just wanted to walk up this way to kind of avoid traffic, not to run into those jackass foreign students. But we can go up through here and we'll check out if we have maniacs over by the Stephen Colbert show. They were there yesterday. I was surprised that we didn't see crackhead Barney there. She seems like a candidate for hanging out with Stephen Colbert. So we've got all these people, the Lawfare Institute. See, Chris Boozy seems to be connected to the Lawfare Institute. He's like a George's brother type of character. He's there to agitate people who they don't like. See, because it comes back to, why do they care what I'm talking about? You would think that they wouldn't, you know? These guys who work for the FBI and James Comey and Jim Baker, I mean, they're lawyers and have all kinds of fancy jobs and things to do with their nonprofits and the FBI and whatever the hell they're doing. Is Obama dirty, Brian says. Well, I mean, yes, I would think so. This is my opinion, of course, but all of these people work for Obama. You know, Obama's a lawyer. This is all lawfare. All of these losers are lawyers. Or, well, not boozy, but, you know, they're lawyers and protected by lawyers. So, okay, let's go back to this Steele dossier, because remember, they've already told us that, okay, the primary subsource for the Steele dossier is that guy, Igor Danchenko, right? So there he is. Well, so who's Fiona Hill? Fiona Hill is a British-born, you know, this woman's got intelligence operative written all over her. She's a British-born, I don't know what the hell she is really. She was a news personality at one point, working for NBC News, which is kind of interesting. And she studied Russian, and she worked as a translator, I think, for NBC News or something like that. But she gets deposed, and she's important because she testified. She's you know, deposed in the whole investigation into Russian hacking. She's, you know, in Trump, Russia, the whole Russiagate deal. She plays a role there. But she admitted under oath that she knows Felix Sater. She's spoken to him, I think what she said was at least once. And that's going to become interesting in a minute, because we know I've spoken about Felix Sater quite a lot. He's, I think, more important in this than we've given him credit for. He's not just some random asshole who's represented by my former attorney, who was introduced to me by Jared Beck, who was introduced to me by George Webb, whose brother cares a lot about what I say for the past 8 years. Whatever people think, oh, you're jealous, Jason, this is an internet beef. This kind of stuff doesn't carry on for 8 years. You know, people have a lot of things going on in their lives. Think of how many people you know who have been at any particular job for 8 years. Think of how many marriages last for 8 years. For something to last for 8 years, open a business, have it last for 8 years, a TV show to last for 8 years, it's a long time. It's a hell of a commitment. And I just don't think it's because his brother is crazy and doesn't like my YouTube show. I think his brother is crazy, mentally ill. Let's speak precisely. It's my opinion, obviously. I think he's a deeply sick, terrible person who deserves prison and kind of like, you know, the worst punishments that people could possibly get. But that's a separate matter. The point is, why do they care so much about what I'm saying? Unless it has some very important bearing on something very important to them. What would they possibly be committed to for 8 years, rather than just forgetting about it and going away, or getting involved in some other obsession? If he's a crazy person who becomes obsessed with random people who he doesn't know, why me? And remember, Chris Boozy came after me when Ben Wittes decided he didn't like the questions I was asking him on Twitter. That's when Chris Boozy showed up. And Chris Boozy's expertise, which I didn't really understand at the time, was getting rid of people on social media who other people don't like. And I won't go into the tactics that he uses because it just, sources and methods. Why tell them what I understand about what they do? But that's what he does. I mean, he admits that. Bot Sentinel was supposed to identify and mitigate disinformation in social media. Yeah, see, now we've got this problem a little bit returning. I hope it stays away, but it's giving me some more insight into why that might be happening. It was very strange to me when Elon Musk took over Twitter. One of the primary things he said he wanted to do was to eliminate bots and inauthentic accounts and activity, but yet Chris Boozy went from 80,000 followers to over 300,000 followers almost immediately after Elon Musk took over. And I think a lot of people had a lot of issues with Chris Boozy. It was weird, very weird. Perhaps more evidence that Elon Musk himself might be an intelligence cutout and the purpose of Twitter and X might be something other than what we think it is. I don't know, again, my opinion. It's for you to form your own opinion. But so they're back to the Steele dossier. Tulsi Gabbard wants you to think that the Steele dossier, they did use it, they didn't use it, they relied on it. I mean, it's all really a bunch of nonsense, but how many people have actually even Steele dossier or even looked at it at all? We've heard so much about it. I know I hadn't until today. So let's look at it for a second. Oh, wait. Here. I think this is it. Yeah, there it is. So, it's talking about someone speaking in confidence to a trusted associate in late July, a Russian emigre figure close to the Republican U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign team, commented on the fallout from publicity surrounding the DNC email hacking scandal. The emigre said there was a high level of anxiety within the Trump team. By the way, none of this here in the Steele dossier says that this guy confirms that he knows that Russia hacked it. They're just talking about this scandal, which is itself a piece of nonsense that's been injected. How do we know it was hacked? People say, oh, Seth Rich, it was an internal leak. We had all that stuff from Corsi, and it really wasn't driven by Corsi. He was just reporting on it. I'm not trying to disparage Corsi. It was Bill Binney was really the dickhead who put all that forward. And I call him a dickhead because I think he is a traitor and a liar. He is a guy who was presented as this big hero, but in fact, in the Robert David Steele versus Jason Goodman case, there was a little bit of discovery in that case, and I saw emails from Bill Binney to Robert David Steele where they were talking about me. And it caused me to hate Bill Binney because he deceived me. I got caught up in their stupid little intelligence scheme. And remember, Robert David Steele, he tells us he was a CIA officer. Maybe he's lying, but that's what he says. And Kevin Shipp confirmed that. Kevin Shipp might be lying, but that's what he said. Kevin Shipp, I believe, lied to me about a bunch of things. But my point is, these guys are all intelligence people. And they're the ones who said, oh yeah, this or that about Seth Rich. Remember, the big piece of evidence that Bill Binney had, that he convinced the public with, that Seth Rich had internally leaked the DNC emails rather than hacking them, was the speed at which they were written to a thumb drive. He said, oh, we went all around the world to all the different data centers to try to connect a data center in California to a data center in Rotterdam or whatever the hell he was talking about, or wherever he went. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but he tried to find the lowest latency thing he could get his hands on, and based on the fact that the speed that could transfer didn't match the speed at which files were written to this thumb drive, that meant it couldn't have been hacked because it didn't transfer over the internet. But the question that he persistently refused to answer was, how do you know that somebody didn't download it over hours or even days over the internet and then copy it to that thumb drive? And so what you're looking at was copied very quickly, but it was downloaded very slowly. He did not answer that. So it's a little bit of a look over here, not over here, kind of a magic trick, shrouded in complicated, confusing computer stuff that most people, first of all, don't want to dig into in the first place, and second of all, probably wouldn't understand it even if they did. So that was Bill Binney, and he had a few people, Bill Binney and I forget who these guys were, but people will remember. And they had also, interestingly, been represented by Larry Klayman. And one thing that I find consistently with Larry is there's a lot of people who go to him for representation who, after scrutinizing their cases and their interactions with Larry, I think they select Larry to be their lawyer in order to jam up Larry. I'm talking about Dennis Montgomery, Bill Binney, and who were those other guys that Bill Binney was hanging out with? Does anybody remember? I forget their names, it doesn't matter. But you get what I'm talking about. These guys know that Larry will represent people who are trying to fight the mainstream, and that other lawyers, I think Larry represented a substantial threat to the Clintons earlier in his career. And just as Charles has and does represent a substantial threat to the Clintons, they cook long-term plans to get at their enemies. Someone says hate is a very strong word. Did I say that I hate George and his brother? I don't think it's a strong enough word, but at least I'm allowed to say it here without getting banned from the platform. Anyway, the point is, I think they lied to us about Seth Rich. Because remember, in that Steele dossier, they talk about DC Leaks. That was a website created by Dugan. And they went nuts trying to get rid of Dugan. It's also interesting to see where Dugan comes up and who tries to smear Dugan and who doesn't like Dugan. Came up recently in Jankowitz v. Goodwin. Thank goodness I'm allowed to talk about that vile bitch. Evil. See you next Tuesday, Nina. I hate her as well. She deserves to go to jail. Other people around her deserve to go to jail too. And she's connected to Ben Wittes. Ben Wittes is on the board of her nonprofit, which I'm waiting for the 990. She says it's a nonprofit. I see no public filings that verify that. I think she might be lying. She could present some public evidence that would disprove that, but she hasn't so far, so I say she's a liar. Then she tries to lie to the police and the court to get me all jammed up. But anyway, so the Steele dossier there, it says a Russian emigre who's close to the Trump campaign, but that's not Igor Danchenko. Remember, Igor Danchenko, this guy's got his little, I don't know, kind of bicycle on the sidewalk there. That's a weird thing going on right there. Igor Danchenko, people will recall, he's the Brookings Institution. He's the guy in between Fiona Hill and Christopher Steele right there. Danchenko, he was a Brookings Institution researcher. He was the primary subsource to Christopher Steele. Brookings Institution is kind of the umbrella organization over the Lawfare Institute. Norm Eisen is a fellow there. That's where all these James Comey Lawfare public speaking events are happening, is inside the Brookings Institution. They have a big fancy building, that's a nonprofit that's taking in like $500 million a year. I think that's an intelligence cutout as well. It disseminates all that money to other things. See, what Nina's doing with her nonprofit is something called fiscal, what is it? They have fiscal sponsorship. To a detailed explanation how if you want a tax deduction, you can make a donation to this 501c3 over here, and then they'll just give the money to us. Because she claims to be running a 501c4. Sound problem again. She claims to be running a 501c4, and the laws surrounding the filings for that differ from 501c3s, allows her to do things in a little bit more opaque
what I'm saying. You're not acknowledging
kind of a way that I think amounts to theft. I think she's a vile criminal stealing taxpayers' money. Everybody works hard, has to pay taxes, that girl steals it, right? See, that guy's pissed. Point is, this is this whole network of nonprofits, the Lawfare Institute, the Brookings Institution, the American Sunlight Project. Norm is an expert at this. He's doing this in court, and when I brought it up to Boasberg, they sort of shut that Signalgate case, shut that down, and launched a bunch of other cases where they basically cured the defects that I brought up. So it's not Danchenko, because Danchenko was definitely not close to the Republican campaign of Donald Trump. Danchenko, he's close to the Democrats over there at the Brookings Institution, and he is mentioned in the Durham report, and there were other Brookings Fellows. Brookings Fellow 1, Brookings Fellow 2. I said to him, to Durham, at the Durham investigation, during that video that Nina now wants me to delete from the internet. We have ongoing legal battles with Nina over what I say are unconstitutional orders in her stupid case that seek to get me to delete videos about the John Durham investigation. Why would she want that? I've said, look, even if you're able to establish that I've said things about Nina that need to be deleted, why should 60 minutes of video content, you need to, with particularity, specify the minutes exactly what I need to delete, because I shouldn't have to get rid of the whole entire video just because Nina doesn't like 30 seconds of it. But that's what they want. That's what they're spending. She's spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to get that accomplished. It's interesting. Why would she do that? She just bought a new house. Seems like she'd have better things to do with her money than sue me, but no. Maybe that gets her money from the Lawfare Institute or these other fiscal sponsors or whatever she calls them. Anyway, the point is, in that case, she mentioned videos with Dugin. They hate Dugin. And it's her buddy, Brandy Zadrozny, who has written things about Dugin. CBS News has written things about Dugin. Lots of people have written things about Dugin. They hate Dugin because Dugin created DC Leaks. And Dugin claims that he met with Seth Rich. I think Seth Rich is fake. I think everything we've heard about Seth Rich is fake. Weed World, gone. So we've watched the rise and fall of Weed World. That could be a documentary in and of itself. Remember, it started out just as random trucks driving around. Then it had its worldwide headquarters here. And then Eric Adams, or what was that sheriff's name? I forget the sheriff's name, but they closed it down. I don't know why these guys aren't driving, but we'll take a moment. Sound problems again. So they're talking about a Russian emigre who's close to the Trump campaign team. Sounds like Felix Sater to me. He's close to the Trump campaign team. He's close to the FBI too. He's a real messer throughout this whole Trump odyssey, right? He's the guy who's emailing Michael Cohen during the Stormy Daniels case. And remember, I confronted Ben Wittes and Norm Eisen That was at the Stormy Daniels trial. Interesting that they're both there and so super interested in the outcome of that. Could it be that they are managers presiding over this whole entire get Trump effort from start to finish, such that they have to be there for these important events like the trial with Stormy Daniels? It could be, I don't know. But they were both there for sure. They were both confronted out on the street. So Felix Sater, you know, and also, remember, he's the guy, he was emailing Michael Cohen saying, oh, we got to get our boy to Moscow for the Trump Tower Moscow deal. He's the guy who signed in 1998 the cooperation agreement with Andrew Weissman. He's the guy who, when I spoke to him outside the courthouse in 2024, he told me he knows Valerie Caproni. Valerie Caproni knows him. She was the FBI General Counsel. Weissman was the FBI General Counsel. Jim Baker was the FBI General Counsel. It's weird. He knows all of them. It's weird. Lawfare seems to be an FBI cutout. Sater is an FBI operative of some kind. I mean, he's admitted that under oath. He signed the document with Andrew Weissman. Sater was frequently quick to correct me and say that he was a DIA informant. Well, who else is around Trump that's down with the DIA? That's Flynn. And remember, this is another thing they want me to delete, is this Ivan Raiklin video. Remember where Raiklin, that's the Durham video. It's Raiklin who mentions Nina Jankowicz. He's trying to violate the court order and get me in trouble. And whether he was or was not working with Nina Jankowicz, deliberately, her lawyers and her picked that up and made it a central focus of their most recent legal action against me, which failed. You lost, Nina, you dumb bitch. It's within my First Amendment rights to call her a dumb bitch. That's my opinion of her. Maybe it's mean, but it's not a threat. No one should do anything to anybody that I talk about. Nobody should ever take any action based on anything I say, apart from becoming a sponsor on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth, subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, or on X at JG_CSTT. Don't do anything to anybody. I'm being serious. It's going to get you in trouble. It's going to get me in trouble. They're going to talk about it in court. It's a pain in the ass. But that's what Ivan Raiklin was trying to do by mentioning her name. And you might be like, oh, what is mentioning her name? How does it? Because Ivan Raiklin is an attorney, and he's a guy who I tried to hire to be my attorney, and he learned everything about the case. He even was there. He was present for the first trial. He saw me cross-examine Nina. Oh, by the way, I released that transcript, so if you're interested in, reading what she had to say, if you become a sponsor, you get to see that. But anyway, it's almost like they're trying to use these lawsuits to mop up the evidence that I've put into the public domain legitimately, and they don't like it. So they're trying to sue me to get rid of it and to get court orders to stop me from talking about things. This is lawfare. This is what it does. It's not just to waste my time and waste my money, although it does a very good job of that. It's intended to achieve a political outcome. They don't want me talking about all this, I think, because I've been aiming right at the heart of it from the first second I started talking about it. Not because I'm psychic. It's just the way these things unfolded. When I met Charles, we were talking about Peter Smith, and I didn't know this at the time, but I've been able to kind of surmise. And by the way, I could still be incorrect. I don't know if this is true. This is my opinion. This is a hypothesis that's being formed by looking at this public domain evidence. Everybody else might come to a different conclusion, but I believe the whole Peter Smith fiasco was intended to jam up Charles and to get Charles to receive fake Hillary Clinton emails. that were purporting to be stolen from Russian hackers. And the idea was, if they could have gotten Charles to take those emails from Peter Smith, when the FBI interviewed Charles, which was December 11th, 2018, they would have said, oh, you have these emails, this is a product of espionage, you're now going to get criminally charged. Why don't you accept this plea arrangement and say that you were working for Trump to get these? Because that's what this whole Steele dossier and all this other crap is getting at. They're trying to fill in the blanks with Charles and Corsi and Roger Stone. You know, that Steele dossier is all talking about WikiLeaks doing this and that. Let's look at it some more. Okay, this is Russia-US presidential election. Kremlin concerned that the political fallout from DNC email hacking operation is spiraling out of control. It doesn't conclude that it's their hacking operation. Russians, meanwhile, keen to cool the situation to maintain plausible deniability of existing and ongoing pro-Trump, anti-Clinton operations. There's just no evidence that the Russian government or people or military, you know, no organized state actor related to Russia in any way, they just have no evidence that any of that was done. This is all speculative nonsense, and they're trying to fill in the blanks by manufacturing fake evidence, pinning it on Charles. You know, they're talking there about WikiLeaks and DC leaks. DC leaks, that was Dugan. WikiLeaks, you know, Julian Assange. I've never spoken to the guy. I can't say what was going on there, but obviously they got him and stuck him in jail. So what else did we get? We had last week, end of last week, I guess Friday, Tulsi Gabbard declassifies this thing, which is a January 2017 ICA, Intelligence Community Assessment. You can search this document. Not once in there does it mention Christopher Steele, the Steele dossier, nothing. So, I mean, in 2017, they didn't rely on that. That was, you know, the ICA, 2017. So then, you know, Obama comes out and he says, oh, yeah, we got disinformation from Tulsi Gabbard on that, which, by the way, I think Tulsi Gabbard is right. I don't think the Lawfare Institute and Ben Whitty's and all these dopes are just operating on their own for their own health. I think they're doing this to protect Obama and Biden and this sort of Democrat control on power that gets all of them appointed as ambassadors. Remember, Norm Eisen was the ambassador to Czechoslovakia. You get to live in a mansion, probably drive around in limos with security. I mean, how much would that lifestyle cost? Free food, I'm sure, invited to parties all the time. You can write books about that crap. Plus, if you're a lawyer and it's like, oh, this guy was the ambassador to Czech Republic or whatever the hell it was, you know, this is clout building shit. So they want to keep all that. Plus, now that they have all done all these insane crimes, they can't. What's happening with the sound? They can't possibly allow Trump or anybody like that to come into power because they're going to get prosecuted for crimes. By the way, even before they did all this stuff to Trump, I mean, I'm talking about people who I allege are involved in the destruction of TWA 800, 9/11, you know, countless heinous crimes. Here's Elmo. Wasn't he jammed up in some pro-Hitler fiasco last week? So let's see, what else have we got here? It's difficult to see the screen. So that's the Steele dossier. Oh yeah, right. See, and because the thing that they're not talking about, so now Tulsi Gabbard comes out today and she's like, no, I'm going to release this other thing that's going to prove that they did rely on the Steele dossier. So that was this, which is some kind of 2020 assessment. where this does mention the Steele dossier. So a 2-page summary of the anti-Trump political opposition research reports. You see that? That's kind of important because people didn't read the Steele dossier, but they're saying that there's this 4-bullet ICA annex, and it's the 4th bullet where the intelligence community assessment says in the CIA main body text, the key judgment, we assess the influence campaign aspired to help Trump's chances of victory, was followed by 4 bullets, and it summarizes the dossier of anti-Trump allegations and included some analysis that struggled to imply that some dossier findings might have been corroborated by intelligence. The lead author of the intelligence community assessment was a CIA officer, said that he drafted the Annex A in coordination with the FBI. And the FBI had provided the dossier information via a memo from their assistant director of the counterintelligence division. And what do we think is redacted right there? It looks like McCabe to me. Remember Andrew McCabe? He was the assistant director at the FBI for counterintelligence. Isn't that weird? Now, what else about McCabe? The thing that's important there is, and that John Solomon and stupid Matt Taibbi, and I like her, but I don't know why she has all these stupid people on, Megyn Kelly, they're on and on and on about all this crap with the Steele dossier and things that are just outright wrong, but they do not mention this critical email from Benjamin Wittes, director of the Lawfare Institute, to Reinhold Niebuhr, which James Comey has already told us is him. That's his private email address, and he's saying there's this weird document that I have that comes from a private British intelligence company. That right there is intended to conflate this document with the Steele dossier document, and elsewhere in this declassified stuff from Tulsi, they even say that this is a collection of intelligence dossiers that are basically referred to as the Steele dossier. Here we see page 2 of this email. It gets forwarded to McCabe and Rybecki and Jim Baker, FBI rogues, all of them involved in lawfare. And Baker, again, is the guy who ultimately goes to work for lawfare before he works for Twitter, where I get strangled outside of Twitter while he's the deputy general counsel of Twitter. Coincidental, isn't it? But nobody is talking about that email. That is a critical email. I haven't heard, outside of me, anybody talk about Ben Wittes or that email that he sends to James Comey. It's critical. In fact, it's the most important thing that they're not talking about. Tulsi Gabbard needs to talk about that. Now, wait a minute, what was this? At one point, this was the Virgin Megastore, but that's been gone for a while. And I thought it was the Disney store, but this is the Disney store. Look at that, Times Square, major retail, out of business. Not good for Eric Adams, New York. Now let's see, is Stephen Colbert up there or up there? We'll figure it out. I think I see it. So they're not talking about this email exchange between Benjamin Wittes, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Jim Baker, James Rybecki, all FBI rogues, each of them. So now we're getting a little bit jammed up with the signal maybe here in the middle of Times Square. Is that rolling smoothly for everybody? Are people following all of this? I get it that it's complicated. How we doing in the chat, folks? Share this video, please. Howdy from Yosemite. Hi, Gabriel. Someone says, do any of these people have an actual coat of arms? I don't know about coats of arms. But anyway, what else have we got here? Right, the date of that email is very important. So that email from Benjamin Wittes, it's sent on December 28th. Now remember, one thing Tulsi Gabbard revealed that was very important that I didn't know about is that it's December 8th when Obama decides that he doesn't like this intelligence assessment that Russia did nothing. We need an intelligence assessment that says Russia caused Trump to win. Go make that. And they're like, oh. So they start writing these stupid reports, but they're like, hey, we need to backfill this with some bullshit evidence. What can we do? So, all right, 20 days later, Ben Wittes sends that email talking about this ridiculous report. And by the way, let's look at that report. That is the thing. He's talking about something that's written by a private British intelligence firm. Well, there happens to be a guy who also works for lawfare named Matt Tate, who owns a private British intelligence firm, and he says, hey, I was reading this article about a GOP operative who sought Clinton emails that was in the Washington Post, and I realized that was all about me, because I had been contacted by Peter Smith, who by the time he's writing this is dead, and Tate claims that Peter Smith gave him this document called a demonstrative pedagogical summary to be, released, what is it called there? Developed and released prior to November 8th, 2016 and dated September 7th. I mean, it's so chock-a-block full of specific information, it's a little ridiculous. But, this is the document that they're trying to link Charles to. And we looked at that the other day. Do I have that in here? Looks like I might have forgotten to capture that document. Let me see if I have that. Well, it's going to be difficult for people to read, but that's a document that lists Charles by name and Steve Bannon and James O'Keefe. It's basically a list of, Clinton enemies and Obama enemies who they want to try to rope into this whole operation and take out and say, oh, these people are known Trump operatives who are working to obtain these Russian emails. And the idea is if Peter Smith could have given the Russian emails to Charles, they would have jammed them all up. But Peter Smith then dies in May of 2017, right? He wasn't able to get those emails to Charles. So their plan ultimately failed. But this appears to be what they were doing. And they're still talking about the Steele dossier. Matt Taibbi, I mean, is he stupid? People are going to say, oh, Jason, you're not smarter than Matt Taibbi. You're not smarter than John Solomon. I don't know if I am or am not. Where's our buddy Stephen Colbert? Is he up here? Maybe I'm on the wrong street. I thought he was up here. Check. We got the sound? I guess it was Applebee's I was looking at. Mamma mia.
It may be like never.
Where is the Colbert? That guy's crazy. Why aren't these guys talking about this? I mean, that email, the only reason I got it is because it's from Ron Johnson's Senate Homeland Security and Government Accountability Committee. So they know about it already. There's the Burger Man. Yeah, I think I'm in the wrong spot. Let's just figure this out for a second. Who knows where the Stephen Colbert show is?
No, absolutely. By the way.
Where is Stephen Colbert's show located? Performing Arts Theater, Ed Sullivan Theater. Right, but what's the address of that stupid thing? Broadway. And I'm on 7th Avenue.
Oh, I see it.
So Broadway is where? Over there? Yeah, I think it's over here. Broadway, and I'm on 7th Avenue. Over there? Yeah, I think it's over here. Something about Tulsi. Gave an in-depth conference again this morning. No, I understand. But she's been fooled because they're saying, oh, this 2020 ICA, Intelligence Community Assessment, says that they did rely on the Steele dossier. So they're basically trying to confuse her. Steele dossier doesn't matter. Steele dossier doesn't matter. Dossier was a piece of crap put together before the election. Wait, the focus is not even hacking. The focus of the Steele dossier is on a bed and get really too that. All of that, the demonstrable summary, about 33,000 emails. That's where the 33,000 comes from in the Steele dossier at all. That's the trick. They're trying to get you to look over here, not over there. They're talking about the thing that isn't even the thing. It's ridiculous. So how does Tulsi Gabbard not know that? Again, people are going to say, oh, Jason, you're not smarter than Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if I am or not, but I'm telling you what she's talking about is the wrong thing. So, I don't know, hopefully this can get... I tried to put it in a this morning, who I have met. People saw me interview Corey Mills, and we've had some Twitter correspondence back and forth. There's a ping pong social club here. Who knew about that? Spin. Didn't this used to be Caroline's Comedy Club? And now it's ping pong. Ah, that's interesting. Wow. But the point, the documents. I tried to call John Solomon. He didn't answer the phone. I mean, is John Solomon full of it or what? Just missing, misleading people. Where the hell is this Stephen? Gabbard's conference this morning. Yeah, he's on until they out there protesting. Because it's another one of these fake, stupid protests that has nothing to do with the actual thing. We don't know. It's not like Trump's lawsuit said you have to fire this guy. He sued them for what? Something 60 Minutes did. They edited the video of Kamala Harris. That's election interference. That's them favoring her over him. I mean, again, that's what they're accusing Putin of doing, and all these vague terms. DW, if there's buffering happening and you put that into the comments, it doesn't help me in any way. In fact, it irritates me. Okay? There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, buffering. I see RR. Nothing I can do. Deal with it. It's New York Times. It's Times Square. Do you have any idea the amount of radio interference around here? CBD Boutique. The fact that I'm able to make a live stream like this work at all is an incredible technological feat. It's very easy to sit in your house posting annoying comments. So just, unless you want to piss me off, don't do it. And therefore, the people who continue to do it, I'll presume, want to piss me off. It's a lot of stuff out of business in Times Square. Well, I don't know, there's people waiting to go in, but that's probably just people who want to watch his show. Why doesn't he just start his own show from his apartment on the internet? That's what he was doing during COVID anyway. I mean, if he's truly funny and people want to watch him, Joe Rogan did that and he got huge. Yeah, see, it says right there, Colbert. Colbert. I think it's just people waiting to watch it. No protest today. I'm surprised we didn't see Crackhead Barney here, typical fake protest morons. I see the news there interviewing people. Any protests today?
Sorry, I don't know anything about it.
Don't know anything.
Thank you.
At all. Is there a protest?
There is a protest. Yeah.
Where is it?
It's supposed to be here at 3 o'clock.
Oh, so we're right on time.
Is that what you came for? Or?
Yeah, are you?
Oh, it's over there?
It's not over here. All these people are here for the show.
I know they're for the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thank you. They said 53rd and Broadway.
Great.
It's a continuation.
Came all the way from Connecticut. What is up with geriatric people protesting in favor of Colbert? There's the protest. So that guy was lying. I'm sure he knew. Oh, this is a weak and pathetic looking protest. Is anybody here under 70? Looks like all the signs were printed by the same person. Who is that guy?
Yeah, here it is.
I just want to know
These people are idiots. Nobody's stopping Colbert's free speech. Why doesn't he just start a show on the internet? It's not like Trump got a court order saying you're not allowed to say anything about him. That's what Nina did to me. That innocent dog has been roped in to this protest. Uh-oh, what just happened? That woman started talking and now, no. No video. Let's see if we can get it back here. So she's directing it somehow. Who is that? So did Trump kick Colbert off? Is that your real hair? Did Trump kick Colbert off? Did Trump kick Colbert off?
Yes, he did.
How did he do that?
By basically saying it's too costly. He made up an excuse.
But does Trump control CBS?
I mean, through the parent company.
Trump doesn't control CBS.
No, but Trump sued them. Trump sued them for...
But was a component of the lawsuit that you have to get rid of Colbert?
No, but...
So how is he responsible?
That was an easy way of kissing Trump, licking Trump's ass.
I don't understand.
By just paying him off.
How did they pay him off? They're paying him in a lawsuit. If this show was making money, they would want to keep it on to earn money to pay the restitution they owe Trump from losing a lawsuit, wouldn't they? Are you sure you thought this through?
Sorry?
Are you sure you've thought this through? It doesn't seem correct.
I don't know the details, but
Right.
I can assure you that Trump's responsible for it.
How do you know that, though?
I
It doesn't
know it.
seem like anything you're saying
Why don't you
supports
Google
that.
Why don't you? Trump throws lawsuits around to get his way, and that's how he got his way on this.
I'm not sure you understand what happened in the
Well,
lawsuit.
you tell me.
Well, I'm not the one standing here with a sign wearing a wig. Can I have one, please? Thanks.
Before he extends in front of Johnny.
Nice to meet you. Test 1, 2.
Seems like you coordinated this. Are you the organizer of this?
One of them, Dr. Hirsch. He is the.
But it seems like you're in charge. Everybody's talking to you.
I got it. Hi.
Is this a non-profit or something?
It's SaveColbert.org is the petition run by the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. We're doing this event today in coordination with New York Indivisible.
Indivisible.
We have lots of members of Congress who.
It's a 501c3, right?
It's all political action committee side of things. Who
So
are you
it's a
with?
501c4.
That's not what a PAC is. What's your name?
My name is Jason. What's your name?
Adam Green.
Adam.
Test
Thank you.
1.
Well, we're at the start, so you're welcome.
Okay. Why can't Colbert just start a show on the internet? Adam told me to talk to you. How are they silencing Colbert? Can't he just start a show on the internet? It's not really a freedom of speech issue, it's an economic issue. CBS says he's losing money.
Test.
I am not sure.
You're not sure, but you're leading this whole protest.
I am focused on this right
What's your
Test
name?
1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Pretty good answer.
now. We're good.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, on Monday night in this building, Stephen Colbert fought back. Stephen Colbert
Can't hear you.
were fighting back. your backs? Over 250,000 people have signed a petition at savecolbert.org. And
Your microphone isn't working.
We are here today to say to CBS, reverse your corrupt cancellation of Stephen Colbert. Do not sacrifice our freedom of speech to satisfy a wannabe dictator named Trump. Let me hear you say to CBS, no caving. No caving. Show some backbone. Show some backbone. Stand up to Trump. Stand up to Trump. Protect freedom of speech. Protect freedom of speech. That's awesome.
But can't he just start a show on the internet?
I am co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. We led this SaveColbert.org petition, and we are proud to be here today with our friends at New York Indivisible, with Stephen Colbert and all those who work with him. We have your back, Stephen. 1, 2, 3. We have your back, Stephen. A little bit louder. We have your back, Stephen. Everybody, one more time. We have your back, Stephen. That is right. Back, Stephen. That is right. But we all know this is a lot bigger than one person.
Can't he just start a show on the internet? How is it freedom of speech? Serious question.
Institution.
How is it freedom of speech? He could start a show on the internet. It's about economics. He's losing money.
As Jon Stewart said Monday night,
He doesn't have an answer. It's a good question. You're an asshole, motherfucker.
This is what Jon Stewart said. This represents
Weird Al, get a fucking haircut.
fear and compliance that is gripping all of Americans.
Asshole. So we they shut it down. Stupid idiots. That guy couldn't answer a question. Stupidest protest ever. Exactly, DW. And Sullivan was for Oregon is great. And next up, Topo Gigio. Was Liberace ever on Ed Sullivan? I just found out that Liberace gave Adnan Khashoggi a mirrored piano. A lot of people don't know that, I think. It literally was the stupidest protest ever. Yeah, right. Nobody criticized. What happened about when they fired Conan O'Brien? Did people protest Jay Leno? Honestly, that was way more of a dick move than anything Trump did. That was just ridiculous. That's good timing, too. I didn't even know they were going to have a protest today. I just figured they might. That's a really low-budget protest. They can't even hire crackhead Barney or Ezra Frisch. They have Weird Al. And what did that guy say his name was? David something? I'm glad we got his name on camera. People can look into whatever they're doing. But obviously, it's another one of these things where they're paying for the signs. All the signs are coming from the same print shop. They're handing them out. That stupid girl who David, whatever his name is, told me was in charge, she doesn't even know. She's out there leading a protest. She doesn't even understand what it's about or what the answers to the most basic questions somebody might have would be. It's weird. So let's see, we're going to try something here. Maybe this will improve. The performance. But Yeah, unimpressive protest there. What do people think about that? Adam Green is a Jim Jones. Was that his name, Adam Green? And he's working with Indivisible. So Indivisible is another one. He's like, oh no, it's not a PAC. Okay, whatever. You're a genius, an accountant, or whatever the hell he is. A 501c4 is not a PAC. I mean, the bottom line is those guys are, if it's indivisible, they're doing something with tax-exempt funds. Why are they allowed to do that? See, so, oh yeah, I just heard about this. Billy Joel and So It Goes, 2-part documentary. Because I think I saw Laura's buddy, what's his name? Bill Maher interviewing Billy Joel. I guess they were talking about that. I didn't know what documentary he was talking about.
Well, I told him.
But I mean, again, you know, it's like here they are arguing about the Steele dossier. Everybody's spinning their wheels. You know, Tulsi Gabbard did a great job declassifying this document that is not even about what the problem is about. You know, why don't we, the day I hear Tulsi Gabbard start talking about Ben Whitty's, then I'll be pleased. Saying, oh, hey, this guy Ben Whitty's, he was messing around. And what about Norm Eisen? Why aren't we hearing about him? Why aren't we having an investigation into the nonprofit funds going to the Lawfare Institute? Here's this fat guy with his big gulp.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. We having a problem?
Like, thanks so much.
Yeah, I keep having sound problems. What does she think about the assassination attempt? Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Trump's not investigating the assassination attempt. Dan Bongino, he was there, remember, when Eli Crane mentioned Cullen's findings about the bullet trajectory that indicated a second shooting position. Dan Bongino lost his lunch, literally. And now he's the guy in charge of investigating. I saw somebody tweeted, maybe it was Douglas Mackey, tweeting that, oh, is Dan Bongino just gonna forget about the fact that he was like gone from work for 2 weeks and all pissed off or acting like a big baby? Pretty weird. What's this? Some Times Square flea market. Likely crap, but let's have a look. Yeah, looks like crap. Crap for sale. I guess these people are doing business. Fruit, smoothies, Nutella, crepes. Future hooligans on scooters. Peking duck crepe. I mean, even just to be able to walk around and look at the freaks that populate New York is something, right? I mean, if you're sitting in your house somewhere much more calm and less mentally ill than this, right? I mean, if you're sitting in your house somewhere much more calm, illegal migrants, I guess they're afraid. Tom Homan said, off-duty agent in the face, that they're gonna come down really. I mean, that's terrible that that guy got shot in the face. They're coming down really hard. But it does look kind of calm today, particularly given the nice weather. I guess we got some new Star Trek show coming. Paramount Plus. Oh yeah, I saw that your deal for 50 more. If that's got to do with Hunter Biden's sugar brother. Remember, that lawyer was the lawyer who originally set up the deal. Everybody's looking at that ad. that Hunter Biden sugar brother lawyer, I forget his name, Kevin something, he set up the original deal for South Park with Paramount. So I guess 5-year deal of 50 more episodes. Maybe that's more money. Oh yeah, somebody did a supercut of Hunter Biden based on my frequency analysis of the fucks per minute and just cut together every time he says the word and said, this is inspired by this post. And that was pretty fun and funny. I guess that's what people really like about X, is the super interactivity of it. You can interact with all kinds of people, unless of course you're Elon Musk and avoiding service for 6 months like a hobo. He's been served, but now, he doesn't want to talk to me about anything, because obviously that would come into the case potentially, and I think he doesn't want to talk about it in the same way that Ben Wittes doesn't want to talk about his case. So here's the other thing that's interesting. George's brother has sued me something like 20 times, literally thousands of filings, tens of thousands of pages of inane, stupid, malicious stuff, nonsense, wasting judicial resources, wasting my time and money, and they just will not enjoin the guy. I sued Ben Wittes and Nina Jankowicz once, and they said it was frivolous litigation, and they got an injunction against me ever suing them again without first seeking leave of the court, which of course the court is not going to grant me, I wouldn't think. Now, that is crazy, and that is suppression of the First Amendment. I don't have a right to access the courts as far as it goes with those people. Trump didn't do that. Trump sued CBS. If Colbert was super duper, NBC would hire him, or ABC. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to tell everybody about, because when I was looking at those different looking at there. But when I was looking at all those different reports, those different ICAs, intelligence community assessments, I was trying to figure out, who wrote it. Because it's 2017, 2020, 2022. And, McCabe was fired, I guess, 2018. But it seems like he's the one who wrote the 2017, that piece where they're saying it was assisted, the CIA wrote it and it was assisted by the FBI, and then they redact that name that looks just big enough to be McCabe. The guy who replaced McCabe as the FBI deputy whatever, oh yeah, and I forgot to go back to that other thing, was this guy, David Bowditch. But then he now is the chief of security at Disney, which owns ABC. So if you're ABC News, and the chief of security is like, oh, hey, we have a national emergency, and I used to work for the FBI and counterintelligence. You have to do this, that. And the other thing seems interesting. The other piece that I wanted to tell everybody about, maybe I said this, I can't even remember. But Ben Wittes sent that email December 28th. And there's something else that I've spoken about that I think is pretty important that happened on December 28th, which was Adam Sharp issuing this PR Week press release on December 28th. But the thing that I don't think I really put together until the other day is that he's talking about how he left Twitter on December 9th. Look at this. He's saying, some personal news. After an incredible journey of messing with elections, see that December 9th. So it's one day after Obama is freaking out about not liking this intelligence assessment. Now, in his tweet here, Sharp is talking about how he's been in, all these different elections, dealing with elections through Twitter over all these years, and he's trying to decide what his next political, media, tech move will be, and it seems like it's accelerate the get Trump. And then that spills over onto me after I create the Emmy Awards parody that includes a First Amendment protected parody image for the Crony Awards where I've modified it. And by the way, that case has eroded the First Amendment because Caproni's ruling is now case law precedent. It's appeared in other cases as a citation as to, why it's not parody. So these idiots over here protesting, Trump didn't do anything to specifically stop Colbert. He could get hired by ABC, he could get hired by NBC, he could start his own show on the internet, Spotify, any of these things. If Colbert is a hot property, HBO, it's not like Trump had a lawsuit where he said Colbert has to be thrown off and he won. That is such a stupid thing over there. It's difficult to describe the degree of stupidity. This has been an ultra long live stream today. Still have Charles coming later tonight, so don't forget to join me for that. I hope that people who are enjoying this type of coverage will become sponsors on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or if you've been enjoying the show for free on Odyssey, make a one-time sponsorship payment on paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth. You can also get back onto the sponsor exclusive content if you're no longer accessing Odyssey on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And if you're not following me on X, get on there at JG_CSTT. That will be great. Thanks to everybody who's sponsoring the show. See, I could tell right away there was that young guy who I was looking at. They have certain people who were there kind of, blocking and watching. Barney Fife is more qualified to be the director of the FBI. I agree, Kash Patel is an idiot. So I'm a little bit worried about Tulsi Gabbard because she's following Kash Patel. She says she's friends with Kash Patel. She has confidence in Kash Patel. So, I don't know, maybe she can pretty easily be tricked. I'm not saying she isn't smart. I'm saying situations are complicated. It's like that magician Slidini. He had a trick that was set up to very effectively fool one person who had a very particular perspective on where the trick was happening. And because of that, they couldn't see the trick part. If you're standing far away, it's very easy to see. That's just an analogy, of course, but I don't know, maybe it helps people understand what I'm talking about. I'm not saying I'm smarter than Trump or I'm smarter than Tulsi Gabbard. I'm just saying, for whatever reason, they don't seem to see these factors that I'm seeing. Yeah, flash mob dances meet up for fun in the summertime. I think that's right. That may be correct. Thank you. Augie says I'm the best. I appreciate that. Cretins over there, right. Liberace sued tons of people, really for accusing him of being gay. How did those lawsuits go? By the way, it's obviously true. How could you prove or disprove that? He's like, see, I'm not gay. What's he doing? I don't understand how a lawsuit about suing somebody for being gay would work. I remember Liberace as a kid. Wasn't he on Hollywood Squares? Yeah, he gave Adnan Khashoggi a piano. Who knows what that implies? Look, here's somebody else, maybe live streaming.
And then look at
He's got the camera vertical. I guess if you're on Instagram, you're vertical. It's interesting, Patrick Reveron likes vertical. I think if you're under 30 or over 60, the video is often vertical for two different reasons. But I don't like vertical layout for video. I guess if you're watching most of your stuff on a phone, that's how it happens. Okay, so we're back here at Weed World. Smoked in the face. Yeah, no crackhead Barney, exactly. That's what I was noticing. It's kind of a lower budget thing. Crackhead Barney seems to work for the cops. That, I don't know, maybe these things are having less financial support than they did at one point. Look at this guy's got his wares spread out all over the street. People have a lot of crazy ideas about what's okay to do. Now, if you were to step on one of these things because you didn't notice it, this guy would undoubtedly freak out. And then he'd make you buy it, I presume. Right, people are talking about Kash Patel maybe being gay and living in Vegas. I don't know, is that true? I mean, why wouldn't he just say that? It would seem like you'd get even more support these days if that were true. Yeah, Liberace was a very flamboyant person, Rolls Royce encrusted. I guess Elton John has gone a little more that direction in his old age. Not quite full Liberace, but he's getting close, right? I don't know, so what did people think of that whole evaluation of Danchenko? So yeah, basically just to get back to the, thumbnail, the purpose was if you read that Steele dossier, you know, they all claim, this is like the chain, you know? Remember how George used to tell me, oh, you know, Jason should call Robin Gritz or whatever. Because George doesn't want to be the guy. He wants to, for years and years, refer to some interview where, Robin Gritz told Jason this. I didn't know about that. I don't work for the FBI. Jason's the one talking to all the FBI people. So it's the same thing here. This is their chain of plausible deniability where they can launder their, you know, disinformation by this person tells it to that person, and Danchenko says, oh, I don't even know Felix Sater or whatever. This guy over here says, get your bad ass ready. Judgment day is near. Repent. Why is he, I don't understand the benefit of doing that. What motivates that? It's strange to me. And he's got a mask on. Wait a minute, I think we've seen this guy before. I think I recognize this guy. Still have some illegal fruit sales going on. But it's a lot less, for sure. Anyway, that's basically the deal for today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Do me a favor and become a sponsor of the show. You're going to get sponsor-exclusive content later tonight with Charles Ort's First Amendment Forum. You can see that. A sponsor of the show. You're going to get sponsor-exclusive with Charles First Amendment Forum. Truth.sub. And patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. People who are following me on X and subscribe there also get the sponsor exclusive content at JG_CSTT. I'll see everybody later tonight with Charles. Thanks for tuning in. Tweet at Tulsi Gabbard. Let her know. She's got to look at this stuff. Go on to X. Look at my tweets there about... Oh, look at this. What do they got happening with the Fantastic Four? Only in theaters. What is this? Yeah, I noticed that in the ad for the Fantastic Four, they had some kind of robot cooking in the kitchen. What the hell is going on here? Strange, right? It's kind of like a retro Fantastic Four. It doesn't look that interesting to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just outgrowing comic book movies, or maybe too many of them have sucked. The Fantastic Four. Yeah, go on to X at JG_CSTT. Check out my tweets. We got to get Tulsi Gabbard to read these emails from Benjamin Wittes to James Comey. To me, it's the key to the whole thing. He's laying out the evidence, the post-election evidence that was used to give them the predicate for this investigation, because that's the thing. They're going to spend all this time arguing about how, oh, they used the Steele dossier, and they'll say, no, we didn't, yes, we did, no, we didn't. That's not even what it's about. That's what I'm getting at. Everybody is talking about what it's not even about. So we'll discuss